What's up, Ramon? Alex? All right, guys. All right, guys. I was gonna post a link in the Slack chat room as we're watching the market kind of take a dump, and at the same time, I don't know if you missed a whole lot, Alex. I don't know if you need to watch the whole Power Hour again. So I'm actually listening to the Senate hearings that so this may be a little weird, guys, but bear with me. We're going to listen to Congress.
Was burned down the house over and over and called every arson a learning experience. Facebook has two competing missions.
I agree with that
Make
part.
the world more open and connected and make a lot of money. And as Facebook attempts to serve both these missions, they wreak havoc on the rest of us. Look at its version of disrupting the newspaper industry. Facebook has made it easier to share what you're reading with friends. At the same time, Facebook has redirected most of the media industry's profits away from actual journalists and into its own coffers. They have done it without the benefit of recreating the local news desk,
Bitcoin is
without conducting the hard-nosed journalism that keeps politicians in business.
Yeah, for those of you just joining me now, we have Bitcoin tanking on the congressional hearings, and we're basically just, I don't know, I kind of want to have a conversation a little bit about this, I guess. Not that it's really pertinent to trading. You know, you guys know me as a trader. I don't really do news very much, but at the same time, this is very pertinent, at least to Libra, and Libra will be extraordinarily important to cryptocurrency. So I just want to listen to this and see your guys' thoughts, chat about it, and have a little bit more insight. Let's listen in.
Concentrating our focus on the most divisive issues, pushing the most controversial opinions to the top of our news feeds. Usually those are posts that play on people's fear and worst impulses, but they may not be based on any sort of fact. Facebook does all it can to manipulate its billions of users so it can direct our eyes towards their ads and turn an even bigger profit.
There you go.
This is no exaggeration. In fact, Facebook tested whether it could manipulate our emotions. The corporation ran a psychological experiment in more than 500,000 users to see if it could manipulate our moods. Turns out it can. And that emotional manipulation has led to horrifying results. I don't have to tell you what amplifying our divisions has done to discourse in our country, not just between political parties. I bet half the people in this room at least had to block an old high school classmate or even a family member on Facebook. Or look around the world, more troubling. A UN report detailed how Facebook was used to spread propaganda in Myanmar that led to...
Yeah, so looks like BPKS, I'm going to call you Bomb, I guess. So he does have a good point. BTC was getting down lower. It may have nothing to do with the Senate hearings, but it actually also could. If Bitcoin is actually going to be under some scrutiny, I don't know what are we getting some buying volume right there on the 1 minute. Let's take a look at that one. That's why we're watching the charts too. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy here. So I'm doing too much on my computer here at the moment, so hold on. I don't have my Coinbase up, so I can't monitor the order flow.
Might be more like a government than it is a company. But no one elected Mark Zuckerberg. And what kind of dystopian government wants to turn families and friends against each other rather than bring people together? Well, maybe I shouldn't answer that. Facebook has demonstrated through scandal after scandal that it doesn't deserve our trust. It should be treated like the profit-seeking corporation it is, just like any other company. Mr. Zuckerberg and his executives have
Kevin?
proven over and over that they don't understand that governing or accountability. They're not running a government. They're running a for-profit laboratory.
So
No
this guy's
Facebook executives,
talking
to
about
my knowledge, have been
Facebook.
harmed by Facebook's experiments.
Not necessarily
Look
cryptos
what
as
has
of yet.
happened everywhere that Facebook has run its social experiments on us. Their motto has been move fast and break things. They certainly have. They moved fast and broke our political discourse. They moved fast and broke journalism. They moved fast and helped incite a genocide. They've moved fast and they're helping to undermine our democracy.
All right, so
Now Facebook asks people to trust them with their hard-earned paychecks.
yeah, we're live, Ajay.
It takes a breathtaking amount of arrogance to look at that track record and think, you know what we really ought to do next? You know what we ought to do next? Let's run our own bank and our own for-profit version of the Federal Reserve, and let's do it for the whole world. I understand that given the financial
Yeah, you guys want a
crisis,
link to this? Here
and
you go.
given the massive inequality and unfairness to workers in our country, and given
Yeah, guys. So I'm live, and this guy's live too. It's the whole hearing. I think this is fairly important for cryptocurrencies in general. The rhetoric that comes out of this hearing will probably start to maybe set policy.
look at Facebook's record. We'd be crazy to give them a chance to experiment with.
And obviously, this guy's bashing Facebook, and I think with good reason. They have a very large sway over a large portion of the population, and yeah, he's saying, "I'll just let you listen."
Fewer and fewer protections for my constituents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Brown, and we will now proceed with your testimony. Mr. Marcus, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today.
So who's this guy?
My name is David Marcus, and I'm the head of Calibra at Facebook.
Oh.
For most of my life,
There you
I've
go.
been an entrepreneur building products aiming at improving people's lives.
Blah,
For many
blah, blah.
years, my focus has been
I hate
financial
that.
services. I became PayPal's president after it acquired my last startup, and I moved to Facebook about 5 years ago to run Messenger, and more recently to lead our blockchain efforts. In my written testimony, I described the mechanics of Libra. Today, I want to explain why I'm optimistic about what Libra can offer the world. But before I get there, I want to make clear that we recognize we're only at the beginning of this journey. Federal Reserve Chairman Powell has said publicly that the process for launching Libra needs to be patient and thorough, rather than a sprint to implementation. Secretary Mnuchin reinforced those views at his press conference yesterday. We strongly agree with both of them.
Oh,
we will
ETH
take the
did die,
time
didn't
to
it?
get this
Yep, it
right.
broke our H pattern.
We expect the review of Libra to be among the most extensive ever. We are fully committed to working with regulators here and around the world. And let me be clear and unambiguous. Facebook will not offer the Libra digital currency until we have fully addressed regulators concerned and received appropriate approvals. I'd like to start by sharing the vision for Libra. Libra is intended to address an important problem. Imagine a daughter who wants to send money home to her mom in another country. Of the $200 she sends, $14 on average will be lost because of fees. It can also take several days or even a week for the mother to receive the money, a delay that can prove disastrous in an emergency. Not to mention, lines may be long and collection points may be in high crime areas. But it doesn't have to be that way. Wouldn't it be easier and safer if people could securely and inexpensively receive money transfers through their smartphones just like they do for so many other things today? That's what Libra is about, developing a safe, secure, and low-cost way for people to efficiently move money around the world. To realize Libra's promise, Facebook and 27 other organizations have founded the
That guy's
Independent
face is
Libra
priceless.
Association. These include companies in the payments, technology, telecommunications, blockchain, and venture capital industries, as well as nonprofits like Women's World Banking, who are here today, along with staff from the Libra Association. The Libra Association
No, Alex. PayPal is PayPal.
administer the Libra Reserve.
They're all boring, Rob. This isn't going to be an exciting, extreme stream. This is a sleepy stream.
That require service providers in the Libra network to fight money laundering, terrorism financing, and other financial crime. We expect these safeguards will at least meet, if not exceed, existing standards.
The problem is no one cares about centralization in Great Gazoo.
Fully formed, we expect the Libra Association to include 100 diverse members. Facebook will only have one vote and will not be in a position to control the association. Nor will Facebook or the Libra Association position themselves to compete with sovereign currencies or interfere with monetary policy. In fact, the Libra Association will work with the Federal Reserve and other central banks to minimize the risk of any competition with their currencies or interference with their monetary policies. These areas are properly the province of central banks. Finally, I would like to turn to Facebook's role in realizing the potential of Libra. To facilitate Libra's use, Facebook has established a subsidiary known as Calibra that will offer one of many digital wallets on the Libra network. Using the Calibra wallet, consumers will be able to save, spend, and send Libra right from their smartphone. If this is successful, Facebook will benefit from more commerce across the family of apps. Calibra will be affordable and accessible and will also be safe and secure with strong safeguards to protect users' accounts.
So here's the thing with this. Everyone's kind of been waiting for crypto to be massively adopted, and this is it. I mean, Libra, everyone's been waiting for Bitcoin for 10 years, and it hasn't happened yet. This Libra is kind of the one thing that has a chance. And so this is pretty important for crypto because it's going to kind of probably make or break it for the next couple of years in terms of public sentiment, either more bullish or more bearish.
In complying with the law. I'm excited about the potential that Libra and Calibra hold, and I'm proud to have initiated this effort here in the United States. I believe that if America doesn't lead innovation in digital currency and payments area, others will. If our country fails to act, we could soon see a digital currency controlled by others whose values are dramatically different from ours. I believe that Libra can drive positive change.
That's a pretty good point. If the U.S. doesn't do it, China's going to do it. Someone else is going to do it. It makes sense. Whether Libra is the crypto to do it or government backed is two different conversations.
Marcus, I'm going to start out with the question that you anticipated my question actually at the beginning of your statement with regard to jurisdiction, frankly, and the regulatory rules of the road. It seems to me that digital technology innovations like this may be inevitable and could be beneficial. I also believe that the United States should lead in developing what the rules of the road should be. You've already indicated your awareness of Secretary Mnuchin's remarks yesterday, statement that Chairman Powell gave in responses to this committee when he was before us just a week or so ago, and other concerns that have been raised by federal regulators.
What size?
By setting up Libra in Geneva, Switzerland, it makes me wonder whether the rules of the road and supervisory oversight will be focused more on the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority.
1% shiny.
However,
High
in
interest.
your testimony, you state, as you've again stated today, that Facebook will not offer Libra digital currency until we have fully addressed the regulatory concerns and received appropriate approvals. My first question is, do you agree with me that the United States should lead in establishing the rules of the road and the legal oversight of Libra and similar digital currency initiatives?
Good question.
Chairman, thank you for your question. Yes, absolutely. I agree that the U.S. should lead. And I want to reaffirm that we chose Switzerland not to evade any responsibilities or oversight, but rather because
Global.
it is a well-established international place with headquarters for WHO, WTO, even the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. And despite the fact that the Libra Association will be headquartered in Switzerland, it will still register with FinCEN, and as a result, will have oversight from U.S. regulators, but completely.
Well, Linus, I don't really follow the 4-hour nor major RSI stuff, so, I mean, you have to look at the historical chart on that to see if it's relevant.
See that in the United States that you'll need to deal with FinCEN, OFAC, SEC, and some state regulators. I've been thinking about this question. The United States approaches regulation of data and data privacy in a sectoral way. We have multiple regulators over different pieces of economic activity and other types of social activity. Europe does this differently, for example, through its GDPR, where it's a broad-based rule across sectors. If you look at just FSOC in the financial world,
Well, Shiny, to your point about bouncing on the RSI and this being news, well, I do believe the hearing is important, and it does appear that we are kind of dropping, maybe or maybe not due to this. It may have been a premature drop, just to, so people could get their risk out of the way. This, yeah, it could be a buying opportunity because anything that comes out of this hearing isn't going to happen today. This is a hearing to set up another hearing to set up another hearing, and this could be a possible buying opportunity. The thing for me, and like what we talked about in the Power Hour today, is that you just have to look for reversal signals. Just haven't quite seen those yet.
Before we proceed, in the U.S., there are a number of regulators that we're engaged with, and we're also engaged with the G7 working group that includes finance ministries and central banks that are looking into Libra, and we're working.
Go quickly to one more question. I've got a lot of them. I'll have to submit some of those to you after the hearing.
On here, the question, 7th.
You recently told the Banking Committee that Facebook Inc. collects data from transactions that occur on platform and use it for advertising and personalization. Briefly, would you please describe the personal data collection from on-platform transactions? And what I'm talking about is, will this type of information be collected for on-platform transactions that use the Calibra wallet? For example, when a user buys a product on Facebook through Calibra, will Facebook Inc. allow other digital wallets to be used within its family or products? And if you could, just explain how that will work.
Chairman, one thing is really important, and I want to
yes or
state
no,
this very
douchebag.
clearly. We will have
Just
with
say yes
the
or
Calibra
no.
wallet to compete with a number of other wallets that will operate on top of the Libra network. And the Libra network will be interoperable, meaning that wallets can send money from one wallet to another wallet, which is not possible with the current system. And as a result, to earn people's trust, we will have to have the highest standards when it comes to privacy. And the way we've built Calibra is that no financial data or account data that is actually
Just say
collected
no.
in Calibra to offer the service will actually be shared with Facebook. And the way that we've built this is to separate social and financial data, because we've heard loud and clear from people they don't want those two types of data streams connected. So this is the way the system is designed. Now, for transactions that would happen on any of our family of apps, the same way that any merchant completing a transaction, we will offer many options, including, of course, the option for people to pay with credit, debit cards, and other wallets, as well as with their Calibra wallet.
All right, thank you. Senator Brown.
I'm not talking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I point out in response to Chairman Crapo's
I'm not talking that much. I'm just kind of listening here.
competition, but you're the only one with a reach of 2 billion people, so that's important to remember. Facebook has a long track record of abusing users' trust. You know that, Mr. Marcus. Until recently, you headed Facebook's messaging team as you were allowing other companies like Netflix and Spotify and the Royal Bank of Canada access and read Facebook users' private messages. So be clear about what went on at Facebook. Facebook told us they were keeping our data safe when they were really allowing other companies to sift through private messages. You had to shut down those programs after huge backlash. Over and over, Facebook has said, just trust us. And every time Americans trust you, they seem to get burned. Facebook told the FEC in 2012 that it would stop abusing our data. And then last week got a $5 billion with a B, $5,000 million fine for violating that agreement. And as we know, you've even run psychological experiments on users. So sitting here today, Mr. Marcus, after all the times Facebook has abused the public's trust, and you know that, do you really think people should trust Facebook with their hard-earned money? Yes or no?
Senator, you heard it directly from Mark, and I will reiterate this, that trust is primordial.
I didn't hear it directly from Mark. I'm hearing it from you.
Trust is primordial, and we've made mistakes in the past, and we have been working and are continuing to work really hard to get better, and we've invested in a number of programs, notably on privacy, election integrity, and a number of other issues. But I want to answer your question directly for Libra. The reason we designed Libra in such a way that Facebook will only be one among 100 different members of the Libra Association and will have no special privilege means that you will not have to trust Facebook.
Well,
We understand.
but Mr. Marcus, you know better than that. You know that only Facebook has access to 2 billion people. And to say that you are just one of many is simply not true. After people's data and private messages have been stolen and sold, after you've let Russian bots try to throw the 2016 election with no contrition, I might add, after you've abetted genocide in foreign countries, you really think people should trust you with their bank accounts in our economy? I just think that's delusional. Let me ask a related question. If you think hardworking families should trust Facebook's monopoly money, I'd like to see how much you and your company trust it. You get a paycheck in dollars, I assume. I assume you get some pretty good compensation in Facebook stock, too. Will you pledge today in this committee that you and your team who are working on this project will accept 100% of your salary and other compensation in this Facebook currency?
Senator, Libra is not designed to compete with bank accounts or to
That's
compete
not the
with those
question.
things.
The question is, will you accept all of your compensation in this new currency that you want us to trust you so much?
Senator, Libra is not meant to compete with bank accounts. We will, for instance, not pay interest. It's like cash, like digital cash.
That's really avoiding the question. Do you trust your currency?
Oh, God. I hate these exchanges. They're stupid. That's a dumb question, and his answer's not even good either. Yeah. I don't know. He just said...
Question then.
Senator, with respect, I wanted to clarify that we're not trying to
It is a
compete
dumb
with
question.
bank deposits.
Okay, let me finish with the last question. You said you're open to Facebook about your company creating. You've said that you're open to feedback about your company creating a new currency. I've told you I think this is a bad idea. The Republican chairman of this committee has raised concerns. The Democratic chair, Maxine Waters, in the Senate.
He did say he would get paid in it, but...
The chairman of the Federal Reserve sat in front of this committee, the Humphrey Hawkins hearing last week, and voiced numerous and serious concerns. Even the President of the United States has told Facebook to back down. That's not to mention the many international leaders who have raised serious alarm. My question is this, is there anything, Mr. Marcus, that elected leaders and he can say that will convince you and Facebook that it should not launch this currency?
Senator, we agree with all of the concerns, very legitimate concerns that were raised by Chairman Powell, Secretary Mnuchin, and many others. And this is why we released our white paper so much ahead of any public launch, because we wanted to ensure that we take the time to get this right, and getting this right means...
Yeah, so the funny thing about this, I actually do believe that Facebook wants to do Libra for some good, right? Everybody, but they are a for-profit machine, like Mr. Brown here, the smoking man, apparently from X-Files, is alluding to, is that Facebook is a for-profit company, so there always is some profit component to it, so... Yeah, I'm pretty distracted, Paul. Well, I am interested in this hearing. I don't really watch a lot of hearing stuff, but I do think it's definitely important. If they would ask better questions and he would get better answers, it'd probably be a little bit better. But I told you this was going to be boring. Yeah, it's nothing good. The problem with these hearings is they're like 4 hours long, and you usually get about 40 minutes of worthwhile information. So, I don't know, I'll probably cut it here in a little bit, but Let's hear what this guy has to say.
As wildly premature for us to come to the conclusion that we have to act now to prevent what could be a very constructive innovation in financial services. I think there are tremendous potential benefits in blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. I can imagine, I think it's clear they could help us lower payment transaction costs. They could facilitate access to capital. They provide pseudonymity. They could provide levels of security that other forms of currency have not. Limited pickup as a medium of exchange might be explained partly by the volatility of these cryptocurrencies. And here we have what strikes me as an interesting iteration, maybe, including a mechanism to provide a diminished volatility, which is backing it with a basket of currencies. So I just think we should be exploring this and considering the benefits as well as the risks, and take a prudent approach.
Hey, a guy that actually is like, hey, this could be good. Let's look into it. That's nice.
Baby in the crib, I think, is wildly premature. Let me ask a question, Mr. Marcus, about the ultimate motive of this. It seems to many of us that if this were to unfold as you've described, and Calibra and Libra were adopted widely, there would be very, very valuable data about payments. In your testimony, my understanding is you have said that it is your intention never to share, this is for Calibra, never to share that data without consent. So is it the business model, is it the plan to, at some point in the foreseeable future, seek the consent of the participants so that you would be able to commercialize that data somehow?
Senator, no, this is not the intention at all. The plan, as far as Facebook is concerned, to monetize Calibra and this initiative is actually to enable the 90 million small businesses that are currently on the Facebook platform and the many users that are on the platform as well to engage in more commerce together. And if they engage in more commerce, there will be more advertising spend from those small businesses. That would be a first indirect effect of having Calibra and the Libra network be successful. And then over time, what we hope is that through the Calibra wallet, we can offer more services in partnerships with existing banks and financial services companies to drive new revenue streams for the company.
So the intent is never to even seek the consent of the consumer with regard to that payment data, to consent to commercialize it.
Senator, I can't think of any reason right now for us to do this.
My understanding is that the basket of currencies invested in very liquid, high-quality assets that is used as the to provide the intrinsic value of this currency, there would be presumably income from that. We've got a lot of negative interest rates around the world, but let's assume that we've got more positive interest rates than negative. That generates a revenue stream. And I think from your testimony, the intent is to use that to cover some various costs. But at some point, that could become very, very substantial. And I saw a reference to paying out dividends to the founders, the original investors, but this is also described as a not-for-profit. So it strikes me
You saw him 3 hours ago? I thought it was live.
it could be huge income and then distribute it to the investors. That sounds like a for-profit. And so one possibility is you could pay dividends in Libra to reflect the value of the income from the underlying assets. How paying potentially unlimited dividends to the investor is not a for-profit operation.
Yes, Senator, thank you for your question. First, I want to address the fact that Libra doesn't pay interest because Libra is like cash and is mainly going to be used as a payment instrument.
So I'm behind.
As far as the interest and the non-for-profit
look at that, I
question
guess.
goes, the way that this is structured
Yeah,
is
I
that
am way
it will
behind.
have some income that is actually targeted towards
That
paying
sucks.
the operating costs of the association and
I guess I'm
potentially
behind.
returning some return to all of the organizations
All right.
that will invest in the ecosystem to make it happen.
Well-
But the plan is not for this income to be
Yeah, I guess this is
become the major news source for.
okay. All right, well, I guess this is pretty boring now. I thought it was live. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this hearing's over, it looks like. Shoot. I'm sorry, guys.
We've got
Okay.
a lot of negative interest rates around the world, but let's
This guy's
assume
got
that-
some good
that
stuff
we've
to
got
say.
more
We'll
positive
end it
interest rates
after
than
this guy,
negative.
probably.
That generates a revenue stream. And I think from your testimony, the intent is to use that to cover some various costs. But at some point, that could become very, very substantial. And I saw a reference to paying out dividends to the founders, the original investors, but this is also described as a not-for-profit. So it strikes me as odd for a not-for-profit to generate what could be huge income and then distribute it to the investors. That sounds like a for-profit. And so one possibility is you could pay dividends in Libra to reflect the value of the income from the underlying assets. But could you explain how paying potentially unlimited dividends to the investor is not a for-profit operation?
Yes, Senator, thank you for your question. First, I want to address the fact that Libra doesn't pay interest because Libra is like cash and is mainly going to be used as a payment instrument. And as far as the interest and the non-for-profit question goes, the way that this is structured is that it will have some income that is actually targeted towards paying the operating costs of the association and potentially returning some return to all of the organizations that will invest in the ecosystem to make it happen. But the plan is not for this income to be, unlimited and to be, all of the income going back to investors. Obviously, we will need to find a way over time to create new pools of incentive that go back to people and businesses using the Libra network. And this is part of the conversation we're notably having on how to manage.
Well, it's all backed by nothing, Monkeytron. Gold's backed by nothing. You can't eat gold, you can't drink gold. It's all backed by nothing.
G7 organized with central banks, finance ministries, and the FSB. And I believe that the Reserve will require very specific oversight and regulatory framework in order to ensure proper management.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Tester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ranking Member Brown, thank you for being here today. David, I appreciate you being in front of the committee. I have some concerns, a number of concerns, one of them being consumer security. In cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, transactions are final. That means if somebody gets hacked, if somebody steals Bitcoin, there's not much I can do about it. On the other hand, if somebody steals funds from a bank account or makes fraudulent charges on a credit card, the consumer, for the most part, almost always, is held whole by the institution. How will Libra handle theft?
Senator, I can speak for the Calibra wallet, and the Calibra wallet will offer consumer protection against fraud and account recovery the same way that the leading wallets today out there and financial services.
So in terms of the chart here, guys, obviously we're behind. I think this hearing may be over already, but we had more increasing volume here to the downside. We ended up with this being a pretty crazy candle. We saw that it was pretty much a big blip. We do have a little bit of support here as well. We need to get over some type of high though to get healthy. Probably 97.13. You know, you got to get over one of these highs for us to like go back up.
And it's immediate. Will it be immediate in your case?
Yeah, Senator, we will do our best to resolve those types of issues and claims as fast as possible, and we're investing heavily in 24/7 live customer support when it comes to the Calibra wallet to ensure that we can resolve those issues for
I think
our customers.
it's critical that that is resolved before it goes live. So when I deposit money into a bank, I am very confident that I can withdraw it from that bank. Okay, my grandfather was not, by the way, and that's why even on these homesteads that are around, every once in a while, find a glass jar full of money because they didn't trust the banks. It was only when we got deposit insurance that the banks had the kind of faith. What kind of faith do we have in Libra?
Thank you for your question, Senator. Libra is actually going to be backed by a reserve, one for one, so it's not ever going to be a fractional reserve.
Okay.
And as a result, it is designed to be stable and retain its value.
I got that. So in 2008, as the ranking member pointed out, there was a run on the banks. There were some big companies that went belly up, including 157 banks, Lehman Brothers, WAMU, Bear Stearns, and others. Nobody anticipated there would be a run like there was. Nobody. How can you assure us? And by the way, I still felt confident that my money was safe in my
There's always a run on banks every once in a while.
How can you make those assurances? How can you do it when we're talking about a for-profit entity, whether it's called nonprofit or not? It's a for-profit entity. You're not doing this just for the fun of it. How can we be assured that our money is going to be there?
Guys, I'll be right
Senator,
back.
when it comes to Libra, because the reserve is actually one for one and not fractional, the issue we've had in the events that you highlighted were because some of these institutions didn't have the appropriate reserves.
Didn't have, okay.
And we also want the appropriate regulatory oversights to ensure that anyone will have the ability to understand how big the reserve is and how many Libra coins, if you will, are in circulation at any given point in time to rest assured that the value they hold is backed at any given point in time with the same amount in the reserve.
Okay. So when we met last week, and thanks for coming in, by the way, the reserve question has to be answered, and it has to be something, by the way, that's not up to you guys to determine what that reserve is, because when times get tough, stuff happens, okay? And so there has to be that kind of reliability there for that. Otherwise, we're in no different situation than we were as we went into the 1930s, because you are a big outfit. Just let me, there's been a lot of comments about Facebook today that's brought up about some of the stuff that's happened on Facebook that hasn't been meritorious, and I'm being generous. And it's true. And it has to do with bad actors, because quite frankly, there's people on Facebook that are doing stuff all the time that have a different agenda than right and good and mom and dad and apple pie and Chevrolet, okay? How are you going to prevent bad actors from using the application? And are you...
I'm back, guys. You can't prevent bad actors from using the application.
Let the money come in, we'll worry about it later. And it has had some pretty negative impacts on a lot of stuff worldwide. Tell me how you're going to prevent bad actors from using this, and then I'll shut up.
Senator, when anyone will open a Calibra account, because
Yes.
You will need to open a separate account. You cannot actually just use your Facebook account to open a Calibra wallet. You will have to authenticate and upload your government-issued ID. As a result, we'll have real identity on top of the Calibra wallet. and we will have systems and a dedicated team to prevent fraudulent activity and, of course, to meet our requirements of anti-money laundering and counterterrorism funding monitoring.
It's a huge issue, and I think it would benefit this effort if Facebook did a better job right now doing exactly what you said. Thank you for being here.
Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Marcus, thank you for being here. I think you've said, well, first off, I'd like to associate myself with some of the comments of Senator Toomey. I think it's a good idea for us to explore this because, quite honestly, cryptocurrency now is still kind of a wild, wild west that is not very well regulated. And there are a number of examples that I'm aware of where consumers have lost everything with their engagement with some of the better-known cryptocurrencies out there. I'm trying to understand the distinction. You're going to have a transaction processing platform that I think several people have agreed to enter a consortium. I assume that that's with the intent of using the underlying platform. You're not creating something that's at the expense of credit card companies or other wallet platforms on the internet. Is it a facilitator for those and take all comers, assuming that they're...
Hey, Gosson, yeah, we're just watching the Senate hearings and Bitcoin's drop kind of simultaneously.
Both Visa and MasterCard are taking this journey with us, as well as PayPal and Mercado Pago and Coinbase and a number of other wallets. But I want to also stress that you don't have to become a member to accept Libra as a form of payment or to build services on top of the Libra network.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. There's a distinction between the currency, which would be a Libra, and the underlying infrastructure you're providing to facilitate payments. Is that correct?
That is correct, Senator.
Now I want to get to something that I think you all have to get right. I'd love to, first off, what kind of capital investment are you all projecting? If you're hoping to launch it next year, I assume you've got a pretty exhaustive implementation plan in place. What kind of capital investment are y'all looking at to put in the underlying infrastructure?
Good question.
Senator, I think that's one of the reasons why Facebook is an appropriate sponsor as well, is we have the resources to innovate, and we're ready to put those resources to build valuable tools for people, and that's what we're going to do here. We haven't determined exactly how much we are going to invest, and this is a process that...
So the consortium would be a part of the investment?
Yes, every member, Senator, will have an opportunity to invest and participate in funding the network.
I think something that would be very helpful for this committee and maybe other members is to get really a briefing on the entire stack here. I think you said repeatedly you're not a bank. You're not going to hold deposits. You can't have a run in a traditional sense. I understand what you're doing with the reserve, I guess, for transactions and process. I think it'd be very helpful for the committee members.
Are bouncing a little bit here.
To understand that, so a briefing
on BTC. So
would be, what I've been able to study.
Not quite sure we'll be able to
really understanding the stack and then understanding
get a big run out of it, but a little bit of a bounce, and we're already selling off. No volume stepping in there. Rising on lower volume, not so healthy.
We had a committee hearing on judiciary, I think it was just last week, talking about how social media platforms have been hijacked by transnational criminal organizations.
I was sitting there hitting that little tiny high. This is a 1 minute chart. You don't often see me on a 1 minute chart, but just trying to look at price action.
And devious, and they hijack it. I hope that as a part of your implementation, you're looking at all the ways
Justin?
that your payment platform, like all the other ones, could be potentially exploited for criminal activities. And it's another reason why I think a briefing on the fuller architecture, the implementation timeline, maybe your own suggestion of where regulatory oversight would be pretty important to making sure you're going to create a trusted platform.
Those are some pretty good wicks right there.
Information to the committee and to the
not
members who are
bad.
interested in digging in. I believe that if the United States can either follow some other jurisdiction on pursuing this, or we can lead it. And I believe in the same way that we have the gold standard for banking system in the United States, we have an opportunity to set an international standard that will ultimately provide greater consumer protections for a lot of the other upstart equivalent, not exactly equivalent architecturally to what you're planning on doing. So I think it's worth you all doing this. I do have concerns about privacy, about potential exploitation of the platform, but I believe the United States, our regulatory environment, and a consortium that's well-funded is more likely to produce a gold standard, something that does drive down the cost of transactions, actually providing better value for people who have the least amount of money to pay the transaction fees that they're paying today. So I look forward to seeing this develop. Thank you.
That's a pretty good volume candle on my
Senator
2-hour
Warren.
chart here,
Thank you, Mr.
guys.
Chairman. Good to see you, Mr. Marcus. I'm all for financial innovation and better payment methods. I'm intrigued by blockchain and distributed ledger technology, but I share a lot of the concerns that my colleagues do up here, particularly with an enterprise as large as yours, 2 billion users. If we look back,
I don't have one,
during
AJ.
the antitrust investigation of Microsoft during the 1990s, the Justice Department found that a key strategy that Microsoft used, which was called internally, dubbed embrace, extend, extinguish. The gist of this strategy was to go out and find a new technology and then either copy it or buy it up. I call it catch and kill. It has been a technology, or it's been a methodology that Facebook has used extraordinarily effectively, buying up or copying other emerging technologies that might be disruptive to your dominance. Now we move into blockchain, which again has the ability to be extraordinarily disruptive. Why shouldn't we view Facebook's efforts here with Libra and Calibra simply as another manifestation of the catch and kill approach?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question because the way that we have developed the technology, the early technology for Libra.
I'm intrigued, Disco
is
Danny,
that
so I'll buy it.
We've invested, we've put our best engineering talent in building the code base, the technology for the Libra network. And then what we did is we open sourced it. And as a result, it doesn't belong to us anymore. It is now belonging to the community, and they will help build the code, and we will relinquish our control over both the code base and the network through the process.
Well, let me follow up then, because will you commit that Facebook will not develop preferential incentives that unfairly tie Calibra, which is going to be your money-making venture, to other Facebook products as a way from prohibiting or Libra users to use wallets other than Calibra?
Senator, I'd even go further, which is that not only have we started the technology and shared it in open source, but the network is actually completely
No, that's not the question. The question is incentives within your existing products. You didn't answer Chairman Crapo's question, where he said, with your dominance, how do you make sure that your already existing global platforms like WhatsApp and Messenger will actually support third-party wallets?
I don't know if I believe that.
At least clarify your answer to Chairman
Yeah, I'm not
Crapo's
sure if I
question
believe
and
that.
say Facebook will make sure that WhatsApp and Messenger
It's
will
too
support
much.
third-party wallets?
Senator,
Yes or no?
Senator, I want to clarify because there's a nuance.
Not clarification. This is fair. You didn't answer Chairman Crapo. Please answer my question.
Senator, the network is interoperable, meaning that people who are using the Libra network from within WhatsApp will be able to send and receive from other wallets that
other
are
wallets.
not Calibra wallets.
So if a user wishes to use, a Facebook user wishes to use a wallet other than Calibra, will you make it easy to allow the export of their keys, their financial data, and other Calibra data? If somebody started as a Calibra data wallet user but decided, I don't want Calibra anymore, I want to go to Nuco, will you make it easy for them to move their keys, their data, their financial information all over to that other third party?
Absolutely, Senator.
So so right there you've agreed on data portability and potential interoperability in terms of the use of these wallets. So my hope will be you'll have that same approach when I lay out my legislation for data portability and interoperability on existing platform use. So I hope your commitment on Calibra will extend to your current applications as well. Can I get a commitment there as well?
I cannot commit for other parts of the company.
Well, I appreciate your team who has been willing to work with us, but it would be really great if you go ahead and make that same commitment on Facebook basic products, because if we want to bring in competition, you've got to have that data portability, interoperability. But at least on Calibra, you are on the record as making sure that you will put no barriers in place to moving from one wallet to another.
Senator, we believe that this is actually primordial for the Libra network, that consumers have the ability to move from wallet
There's some
to
nice
wallet
wicks on the
to
downside
ensure
right
that,
there for
there
sure.
are good competitive dynamics that work in favor of consumers. We really believe
And
that.
so, again, I'll come back again to Chairman Crapo's question about
There we go.
your globally dominant.
That'll work.
platform,
I can see you guys
products
and see this
already in terms
douchebag.
of WhatsApp and Messenger. They will support
Hey, look at
third-party
that.
wallets other than Calibra.
Senator, I want to clarify, which is that
And every time you start with, I want to clarify, gives me great level of pause. Chairman Crapo's asked the question, I've asked the question. Seems to me pretty simple. WhatsApp and Messenger, globally dominant products. Will they support third-party wallets, or will they have incentives that will push people to simply using the Facebook product, Calibra?
So this is why I want to clarify, Senator, if I may, because it's a nuanced answer. If your question is whether we will embed other wallets inside of WhatsApp and Messenger, the answer is no. If you're asking whether other wallets will have a full interoperability, meaning that you don't have to use the Calibra wallet inside of Messenger and WhatsApp to be able to send or receive money to people who are using the Calibra wallet inside of Messenger and WhatsApp, the answer is yes.
Embedding is different than putting preferential treatment and preferential areas. I didn't get to the questions around third-party
Yeah, it's looking a little better here,
having some
Shiny.
concerns about giving access. But again, Mr. Chairman,
Looking a
I
little
think
better
some of
here.
the questions that you've asked is one of the reasons why
Although we got to get that volume pop,
great
though.
deal of
Otherwise,
work this through.
it's
Thank you, Mr.
not really worth it.
Senator Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Marcus, thanks very much for appearing here before us today. Before I begin my questions, I just want to take a moment to commend the South Dakota Division of Banking for their forward thinking and willingness to allow for innovation in the digital currency space. Another founding member of the Libra Association, Anchorage, just received permission from the Division of Banking to become a South Dakota chartered trust company. Thanks to the business-friendly climate in my state, Anchorage, which is a Silicon Valley crypto vault company, has chosen to open its second headquarters in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, the significance of this extends far beyond the borders of South Dakota. Our Division of Banking should serve as a model for how governments can study and learn about digital currencies, and while at the same time allowing pioneering companies like Anchorage to innovate and try out new products and services. So once again, congratulations to Anchorage and welcome to South Dakota. I'm curious, I've had an opportunity on several different occasions to travel to Africa.
Hey, what's going on, Frederick? How you doing, buddy? Bounce to 98 possible or better aiming for 8K for Duarte. I mean, both are on the table. We do have a pretty nice, more elevated volume candle right here with these two little twin volume candles. But this looks like it is maybe setting up for a bounce here. There's some nice tightening action on the right side of the chart. You saw a little bit of a pop right there. We need some volume coming in, though. Otherwise, it's not going to be doing too much. Really need to see that volume come in.
Will be to install a small app on a $40 Android device with a basic data plan. And from that point on, have the ability to move from the cash economy to the digital economy and benefit from having the ability to transact, not only domestically, but internationally at very low or no cost, and benefit from services that will be built on the Libra network by other companies as well. And as a result, we really hope, and this is our ambition, that we can lower the barriers for access to modern financial services and massively lower costs for the people who need it the most. And in the process, potentially also lower access to capital, because if suddenly you have a global platform that enables free or low-cost money movements, then access to capital should be cheaper, and the barriers will be lower as well.
Thanks,
See,
Mickey.
I
Appreciate
think
it.
you're going to have a lot of competition. I think there's going to be a lot of different organizations that understand that this is the wave of the future. And I think the questions have been fair with regard to the different applications that are out there and how they would fit on your platform and be allowed. And I think that's going to be an item of discussion for some time to come. But with it also comes the kind of the regulatory layout that you work within. You've chosen to set this
I'm
up
gonna
in
check stocks
Switzerland.
for a minute, guys.
What did Switzerland offer that the United States did not? And what is it about our regulatory framework that puts us perhaps at a disadvantage?
Senator, the choice of Switzerland, again, is not to evade any responsibility or regulatory oversight. It was really because
Oh,
we
man,
believe
Roku's strong.
that a global digitally native currency that will be used by people all around the world would benefit from being headquartered in an international place that is also the home of many respected international organizations. And that was where we came from. The reality, though, is if you look at the current composition of the Libra Association members, those are mostly American companies. Calibra is an American subsidiary of a large American company, will be licensed and operate in the U.S. And I think that the beneficiaries in terms of companies of the Libra network will likely be American companies under the American jurisdiction and with proper regulatory oversight in the U.S.
Well, I think the proposal that you has huge potential. And I think the challenges for the transaction of the exchange for services and so forth today still has lots of obstacles to be overcome, including that of security and privacy. But nonetheless, we're going to look forward to observing and participating in this, because I really do think it's the wave of the future. And as Senator Tillis said, we are either going to be responding to it, or we can be actively involved in learning from it. So, thank you. Thank you.
Senator Cortez Masto.
Mr. Marcus, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here and answering the questions. This is obviously very...
Jay, this is Thinkorswim. You get this through TD Ameritrade. They have a search bar in the top right to search Thinkorswim, and you can get the download for it, but you have to have an account.
One of them for me in particular is because something I dealt with as Attorney General of the state of Nevada is the issue of money laundering. I know there's clear regulatory oversight that we have right now to address the issue of money laundering that comes in so many forms, but one of them is terrorist financing. That support the money laundering supports and terrorist financing. So my question to you is, how will the Libra Association itself be ensuring that it is guarding against any type of money laundering activity? Have you thought about that?
Yes, Senator, and this is something that I care about deeply personally. And the way we're thinking about protecting the integrity of the network from money laundering, criminal activity, terrorism
This is
funding,
way faster in TradingView.
is by not only moving a lot of cash transaction in the digital world, where cash transaction is where most crimes currently happen, and we believe that if a lot of transactions move to digital, it'll be better. And the way that we are applying AML programs
new gold.
is that as far as the Calibra wallet is concerned, we will have strong identity, because for every new Calibra account open, you will have to upload a government-issued ID and authenticate, and as a result, we'll have AML programs on the Calibra wallet. As far as the Libra network is concerned, we will have an AML program as well, and despite the fact that the Libra Association will be based in Switzerland, it will register with FinCEN, and as a result, we'll have to comply with AML and KYC practice.
So I'm glad you just brought up FinCEN, because that was my next question. Would the association itself fall under the Bank Secrecy Act jurisdiction?
Senator, the association will not actually touch consumers. It will process. It will just organize.
So who is going to be subject to the Bank Secrecy Act and FinCEN then? I guess that's my question.
So the Calibra wallet and all of the wallets that are operating under that jurisdiction will, of course, comply with BSA. Will perform perform KYC and have AML programs, and we're engaged with Treasury on this to make sure that the setup of the network is not only not going to take a step back in terms of the efficacy of the AML and CTR programs, CFT programs.
I'm not sure, Ajay. I don't know. It's like a year away. I'm not really concerned with it, to be honest with you.
Are you talking right now with FinCEN and FinCEN to get sign-off on how you address money laundering issues?
We are, Senator.
Okay. I appreciate you providing more transparency around that. And let me just say, this is a
there's
new
some
day and
volume.
when it comes to cash and carrying around a briefcase full of cash, transnational criminals and terrorist activities don't do that anymore. And what you are creating right now is an opportunity for them to engage in continuing money laundering and criminal activity. So know that. That's one. To say that we're going to be complying with AML activities is one thing. I want to see the specifics of it. So I appreciate you willingness to talk with FinCEN and talk with us about how we address this issue. Another one that has come up as I sit on banking committee here, and we've talked about it several times, is sanctions laws.
I didn't notice my
communication for Libra.
I didn't notice my
was
volume
recently on a
aggregation tool going
podcast
bullish
and was
right
asked
there.
How Libra would react if a government like the United States required that the Libra Association blacklist certain addresses in order to comply with sanctions laws, as is typical in what we do here. The response was, I quote, "The association won't interact with any jurisdiction. It will instead leave that to the entities that provide an on and off ramp to Libra, the currency." Can you clarify that? How are we supposed to address this issue when it comes to blacklisting and sanctions laws?
Senator, this is a question that we're also engaged with the Treasury Department on, and the one thing that we have committed is that we will respect the travel rule and, as a result, perform the right checks, and including OFAC checks. And this is definitely true for the Calibra wallet. I don't know in what context those comments were made, but I believe that it may be because the association itself is not running anything. It's just coordinating governance. But the actual service providers that are...
Yeah, it's quite a bit of volume jumping into BTC right there. We'll see if it's going to act as support and push it through this little bull flag that's forming. This is, again, I'm on a 1 minute chart. This is super, super tiny. Super, super tiny, so...
those functions.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah, I agree, Monkeytron, 100%, 100%. My question, what I was thinking, actually, she was talking, I'm like, well, what are you going to do legally to stop all these criminals from actually getting away with stuff? They're going to transact through U.S. dollars, Bitcoin, Monero, Euro, or Deutsche Bank. What are you guys doing about that instead of asking me about this?
We need to encourage innovation. But I want to explore today the underpinnings of Libra. Can we agree that a banker should be trustworthy?
Yes, Senator.
Can we agree that a banker should be honest?
Yes, Senator.
Can we agree that a banker should respect a customer's privacy?
Senator, yes, of course, but we are not going to engage in banking services.
Can we agree that,
what you're asking.
that Facebook knew in the spring of 2016 that Russia was attempting through Facebook to disrupt the U.S. presidential election?
Senator, with regards to those events, we definitely moved too slow, and we've learned...
Isn't it true that your general counsel and your chief security officer knew in the spring of 2016? Isn't it true that Mr. Zuckerberg and your CFO, Ms. Sandberg, I believe, knew in December of 2016? Isn't it also true that you didn't tell your board of directors, they didn't tell the board of directors until 2017? Until September 2017? Isn't that accurate?
Senator, we definitely moved too slow to recognize the activities that...
Blah, 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 Facebook sucks. Yeah, we all kind of know they suck. I just do the Pro plan, Bahamian. That's about it. I don't know if you want the Pro Plus. That's just up to you. It doesn't seem like enough value for the extra money.
Said, yeah, the Russians have tried to disrupt the election through Facebook, but they only spent $100,000 and they only ran 3,000 ads. That was a lie, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Senator.
That was a lie, wasn't it?
I don't believe it was, but...
Well, later Facebook admitted that actually the Russian ad had reached 126 million people, didn't they?
Well, Senator, I believe that the people who answered that question at the time answered to the best of their knowledge at the time.
Right. When Mr. Zuckerberg was conducting his listening tour across the whole country, first half, I think, of 2017, when he was feeding cows in Wisconsin and having dinner with...
Man, this guy's really mad at everything. All right, Bitcoin looks like it's moving up a little bit. Volume light on this little break up here. Not even above average on my 1 minute chart here, so we'll kind of see what happens.
I don't remember the timeline.
This guy's mad at something.
Okay. In the spring of 2017, spring and summer, our Intelligence Committee in the U.S. Senate started investigating the Russian...
Yeah, it's
attempts to
TradingView.
disrupt
Yeah, Buck.
the election through Facebook. Facebook
I think you can see the URL there,
issued
too.
a statement saying there were no such attempts. That was a lie, wasn't it?
Senator, I don't remember the timeline, and I believe that people have always answered truthfully with the information they had at the time.
Okay, in June of 2018, let me fast forward a little bit.
This is
We found
very
out
true, Shiny.
That Facebook was sharing user data with device makers.
Yeah, what's going on with this
A bunch
part
of them,
there?
40 of them. Amazon, Microsoft, Samsung. Facebook didn't disclose that.
Oh,
to
I
users
fart all
yet.
the time without the government knowing, man.
Senator,
All the
my
time.
understanding, and again, it was not my responsibility or my team, is that this was designed to enable those phone manufacturers to build integration within the Facebook product to serve.
All right, this
those
rally looks like
consumers
it's going to
using these
sustain for a
devices.
bit.
Okay. Your algorithms
little
are
bit.
such that if I watch a video on a topic, I'm immediately shown videos on more extreme versions of that topic. We call that stickiness. Is that correct?
This is not the way that the Facebook platform operates today, Senator.
But it did for a long time, right?
Senator, Mark really led through the
Well,
change.
can we agree on this, that Facebook has now become the major news source for many, many people, probably the major news source? Is that true?
I don't believe it is, Senator. I believe that more and more people are interacting with other
Well,
people on the
60%
platform.
of your users say they get their news off Facebook as their primary source. Isn't it true, I really want your opinion, that Facebook has chosen to advance a set of values in which truthful reporting has been displaced by flagrant displays of bullshit?
I don't know how to answer that question, Senator.
Okay. Well, here's my last question, and I agree again with Senator Toomey. I have great respect for Facebook, but Facebook now wants to control the money supply. What could possibly go wrong?
That's a good question.
Senator, we will not control either Libra, the currency, or the association, and we agree that no company should control such a network or digital currency.
I'd like a second round if we could, Mr. Chairman.
If we have time, I will be glad to do that for senators who so wish. Senator Smith.
Thank you very much. Welcome. So I got a lot of questions about this. You'll understand the level of skepticism that you see here, and I appreciate you being here to answer our questions. I want to try to understand a little bit better this association. So the Libra Association expects to have you think about 100 founding members who together you say will be making decisions about investment strategy and regulatory compliance and social impact goals. Who's in charge?
Senator, the way that the governance of the association works is that you'll have this council of 100 or more members that will make decisions and will elect a board that will be between 5 to 19 members, and that board will then, of course, elect a managing director, and the association will have a staff.
And the U.S. Attorney's Office in Florida. And this chronology, I believe, is important.
We're never going to know about Libra now. All right, guys. Well, looks like that's the end of the hearing. I don't even know what we watched. It was okay. I was hoping for a little bit more bite and stuff like that, but did kind of get to watch BTC move a little bit. Popped up on a little bit of volume. I'd like to see a little bit more. We're still underneath resistance levels here. We have a very long-term trend line, which is this line right here, right at about the 10K level. And I'm not also liking how this is looking personally. Could probably just chop around here for a bit and maybe roll over. So the market overall in general is in a very vulnerable position at this moment in time. And yeah, it's just going to be one of those situations where you either, probably just step out of the way if you're not involved already and then try to manage your positions appropriately. We had some members that were short. And, whoops. We had some members that were short. I don't think too many people were long, at least that spoke up about it. Yeah, bouncer bear flag is a good question, Shiny. It's kind of looking a little bit like a bouncy bear flag. Kind of a little bit of both right there. I mean, I guess you could try to draw it like that as we drop back down out of this structure. How's the volume looking on that one? I'll answer a couple of questions here, guys. Yeah, I know we've been watching that show for a while. Is what it is. Pretty fun stuff, but kind of boring. Some people asking stupid questions. So, I don't know. I'm doing pretty good, Ed Van Dyke. I'm doing fine. What do you think about the altcoins going much lower? Well, the altcoins have really not been doing very well at all. It's really been a Bitcoin market now for about a month. Pretty much nothing to do but trade Bitcoin in and out. We have Litecoin as leadership, and Litecoin really has been taking it on the chin. You can see right now this is a very much longer term support trend line for Litecoin that's just been taken out today on very high volume. Usually not a good sign. If we can see some bounces here, but I don't know what's really going to save Litecoin at this stage of the game. And since Litecoin kind of sparked our rally, it's hard to believe that Bitcoin is going to get much more bullish with, without Litecoin at least stabilizing. Litecoin got stable, then Bitcoin really kind of started extending its rally. So they've had kind of a yin and yang relationship there. So it's been interesting. But yeah, BTC right now, let's look at the 15-minute chart. There's a little bit of a bottoming component here. This proving to turning into be, looks like a topping candle with slightly elevated volume. Definitely could be a bear flag, but this is going to chop around for a bit. You're going to look for a high up here, and that's going to be your buy point if we pop up. If we go lower, you got to make the decision if you're going to buy another test to the downside or not. But BTC definitely in a mood and kind of breaking most of the structure up here. So for me, it's kind of a wait and see territory. I'm not going to get super involved. I'm not going to get chopped up in this. I suggest you do the same. It's kind of this could be an off day for you if you wanted to. I mean, really, what are you going to do down here? I mean, if you want to take a little bit of a position, I recommend being a smaller position and put your stop loss under this low. Not right at it, but a little bit below it. The problem, even though with that, as we discussed yesterday, is that, which came true today and then some. We mentioned yesterday, because yesterday I'm on the really short term. Where's my thing? So where's 9 o'clock? Yeah, there's 9 o'clock. We mentioned here in this bull flag we could go lower, and we did before spiking higher again. And then obviously we kind of shit the bed here and everything's a little bit lower. But it definitely puts in danger this general topping area. This consolidation area of BTC, and kind of makes it look a little bit more toppish. There's two large trend lines here on the daily chart. This trend line, which also coincides with the 50-day moving average right here, and then this more immediate term trend line also just flat out undercutting this low. We're back above it right now, so it could just be a spike down. But I'm not a huge fan of the volume signatures here. But yeah, if this thing does turn up, that would be really good. And this would be a nice low place to buy. But, you know, high volume candles cause tops, bottoms, or breakouts. And so this kind of looks like a breakout candle to the downside. But if we don't get any follow through, if we get no follow through, then it's probably going to be a bottoming candle. But it's just going to take time to see, just to kind of see how that works itself out. All right, let me check out some more questions here. Then I'm going to get out of here, guys. Altcoins going much lower. Yeah, probably. Sup, Christina? Do you think that this action today damaged the uptrend, or is it too early to say? Well, yeah, it definitely damaged it. The problem is, did it break it? And like I said, high volume causes tops, bottoms, and breakouts. This is high volume. So it's hard to know exactly if this is a bottom or a breakout. But if we don't bounce, then I'm going, you know, if we're not going to bounce out of here, then it's basically going to be a breakout, and it's probably going to kill the overall uptrend. Now, the thing about this is that we have plenty of room to find a higher low. Could curl here, we could curl here, we could curl even all the way down there. There's lots of opportunity here. The question is, you know, where's it going to come in? So we have a 200-day support all the way down here at about 6,000. If we, you know, if this indeed does start to truly undercut, which it could. A little bit of support action here at, you know, 86, or was that 89.56 is what I got there. So one guy that at least asked some questions, and just one guy badgered, one guy asked questions, one guy badgered, one guy asked questions. Just depends what side of the trend line. This whole entire move up, and it's broken at this stage of the game. So I would say it's definitely in danger, if not broken. Getting above trend lines like this are very, very difficult to do. No good, very bad day. Yeah, right, Shiny? Ed Van Dyke says this is not a buy. All crypto's going down, silly. If a short presents itself, where would you put a stop at 10K? Ideally 11K. I mean, 10K if you're looking at the lower term time frames. Well, this was the place we looked at earlier. That was about 10.2 right there, Monkeytron. I would argue if we dump, even this could act as a pretty good, which is about 9,800. The problem here is that I guess there's not a main problem there. I'd like a little bit more volume on that type, but that's a pretty good volume top. So yeah, I would probably say you could probably put it up here at 98, 99. I guess you can do 10K. That would give you a little bit of space if you have that. Christina says the massive rally made it really hard to know where it might make a higher low if it ever does. Yeah, and you know, sometimes trading is not very easy, and this is going to be one of those situations where, you know, you have so much room to play with. It just comes down to chart reading. Some guy's going to post 2 or 3 charts and get it right and called a genius. I tend not to run that way. I tend just to go with price action when I see it. So yeah, I don't really have a target. I just, you know, you can identify support and resistance. The 200 moving average could be a nice target if we find support there. We just broke the 50-day. Could find a little bit of support there. Like I said, at 89.50. Another support here at 7,400, 7,450. And then down here, wherever this ends up being. Where have you been lately, Randy? Well, actually, I was on vacation for a week, believe it or not. I don't do that very often. But went on vacation for a week, and I've just been doing a lot of work, and it's just me and my youngest son, so I've been, you know, really focused on spending time with him where I can. So that's really where I've been. I haven't, yeah, I wanted to make a video a couple of days ago. The timing just didn't work out. I got a few projects going on around the house too. But so I thought it was a nice opportunity today to step in and do a live stream. That's been kind of fun. Sell your favorite wife? Well, sell your second. Sell your. Oh, you said sell. I thought you said favorite wife. I was gonna say sell your second favorite wife. Don't sell the favorite one. Yeah, below. I don't know about below 10K. Look, here's the thing with this trend line breaking, and we touched on this a little bit earlier. This is at least going to be another consolidation, whether it's topping. Now, I mentioned earlier high volume candles cause top bottoms of breakouts, and we talked about this in the power hour. This is a very high volume candle here at this top. So that could be a topping point for this BTC rally. At the same excuse me. At the same time, it easily could consolidate out of this too. This has been such a tremendous rally, basically straight up, and this could take a while to consolidate. XRP holding support at the moment, also versus BTC quite strong. Yeah, so we are following. Yeah, we were following XRP. Oh, you're saying XRP BTC. I'm thinking XRP dollar, sorry. Yeah, XRP BTC. Yeah, that's a pretty nice candle right there for XRP BTC. It's still not really above any key levels. It's still underneath a bear flag against BTC here, so you're going to have to maybe kind of find it's still in the middle of a range here, not much to do. Yeah, sorry about this. I mean, like I said, I get busy and stuff. I do the, if you really want information, really just join the Power Hour. That's where I get a lot of my analysis out. You can also join the Slack chat room. That one's free of charge if you don't want to join the Power Hour. We jump in there from time to time, talk with a lot of good traders. So. Where do we stand with the little bounce? Well, let's go take a look at the little bounce. I don't know, we kind of moved away for a second. So a little bounce, kind of looking a little like a bear flag right there. Volume isn't extraordinarily convincing other than, this is a nice bottoming candle, don't get it wrong, but the volume since that hasn't really been transformative. Even go down to the 1 minute, you can see right there we came down and getting close to testing the bottom part of the trend line there. What's our volume aggregation tool? Volume aggregation still bullish here. That's a good sign when the VA tool is green. That's always a good sign. XRP on the weekly? I don't really do BTC charts on the weekly. I think that's against my religion. Yeah, see, we were actually hoping it was going to hold up here, Frederick, right there, but it did not. I'm not too interested back here. I know you mentioned Poloniex. I don't even know if I have it on Poloniex. I can get it though, probably. There we go. I don't think it's really near a support level right now. Support I think would be down here towards the 2025 level. Something like that. I think that level right there is probably a little bit better. Diagonal trend line. What, this? I don't view that as valid. Are you talking on the way up? Well, it's undercutting this trend line right here, and this one, I don't view this as valid. This is the one from that prior top. Yeah, see, I wouldn't buy something like this just on a, yeah, I wouldn't buy something like this. I would really need to see this reversal. We caught this XRP run here. We had a beautiful bull flag. I'd much rather buy a beautiful bull flag than try to guess a bottom. So if you're going to do it, feel free to watch it. Feel free to hawk it. But don't take any unnecessary risks. You want to put money to work when it's in your favor. Now, noticing lines on a chart isn't in your favor. You notice line. I notice, look, for the power hour, you guys know I go through 150, 175 coins every single day. I see these patterns all the time, thousands of them. And the ones that work are usually the ones that have good setups. You can notice support at a level, but you have to find some way to get you into the trade. The trade should pull you in. You shouldn't push a trade. The trade should pull you in. Yeah, I heard you. Quit spamming chat. It's on there 3 times. It's on there 3 times. I'm still answering the previous question. Chill. Yeah, right, Monkeytron, when we would do our 3-hour long power hours. Yeah, that was just too long. What's your RSI question? Relative strength indicator is what that stands for. In terms of major support and resistance for Bitcoin, with this chart, like you're gonna have, it's like Fibonacci. You're gonna have a level every 1,000 or 1,500 bucks. So I mean, if you really want to do that, you could go ahead and you could draw a fib if you want to do that, and then you can try to draw some lines right there. They may coincide. So I mean, here's a bottom at this 61 level. I actually pointed them out a little bit ago. So, I mean, there's some support right there. You could end up with some support at that low. It's hard to know exactly where it's going to come down to. Now, I would actually argue this should be some pretty strong support if you get down to that 65 level. That would probably be the strongest support level. We had a pretty massive volume spike here. After we broke it to the upside, it acted as support right there. This really should, if we get back below this, it's going to be very difficult to really kind of get back above stuff. But that's a long ways down from here. That's what, 33%. About 52 from the all-time high. Usually when Bitcoin goes on bull market runs, it doesn't go down more than 40%. So if you're looking at 40% from here, that's about 82. It's about 8,200 or so. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. This has been a very long stream. I'm getting parched. I even killed my whole water. My mouth is still dry talking for so long. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for entertaining me with that whole Senate hearing, which it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. The questions were dumb. So is what it is. But I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Please check out my website, real-crypto.com. You can check out my webinars. Also, the Power Hour, where we go over the charts every single day and have a good time doing it. So, all right, guys, I'll see you there tomorrow. Everyone else, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.